She was just a mother driving her son home from school. Nothing more, nothing less, but within minutes, flashing lights surrounded her car, and strangers began whispering that the boy in the back seat didn't belong to her. Her voice trembled as she begged them to believe the truth, yet every word she spoke only made things worse. The police didn't ask, they assumed. The town didn't listen, they judged. What unfolded next would shatter everything this mother thought she knew about justice and about her own community. For years, Nala Carter had lived a quiet, simple life in the small town of Maplewood. She was a proud, single mother, raising her 8-year-old son, Eli, with a mix of strength and tenderness that only mothers like her could understand. Every morning, she made him pancakes shaped like dinosaurs, packed his favorite snacks, and drove him to school with music playing low in the background. Her little ritual of love before another long shift at the hospital. Nala worked as a nurse, respected by her patients and known for her calm under pressure. But behind that calm was fatigue, the kind that came from working double shifts and still making it to every school event. Her life wasn't glamorous, but it was hers, built on discipline, love, and a belief that good people doing good things would be seen for who they truly were. The town of Maplewood seemed peaceful on the surface. Neighbors smiled, kids played in sprinklers, and everyone waved at each other. Yet, Nala had felt a change. The longer stares, the lingering silences, the way people's smiles didn't always reach their eyes when they looked at her. It wasn't loud racism, it was quiet suspicion, the kind that hides behind politeness. That afternoon, the sun was bright, the sky calm. A perfect day for a drive home. Eli's laughter filled the car as Nala hummed along to the radio. But she didn't notice the woman standing by the school fence, watching her every move. The woman's hand trembled slightly as she pulled out her phone, whispering something urgent into it. To Nala, it was just another ordinary day. To everyone else, it was about to become the day they saved a child who never needed saving. The call came in to dispatch at 3:42 p.m. Possible child abduction outside Maplewood Elementary. A black woman. A crying child. A suspicious car. That's all it took. By the time Nala turned onto Brookside Avenue, 2 police cruisers were already closing in. She didn't even notice them at first. She was too busy listening to Eli describe his art project, his little hands waving in excitement. But then she saw the flashing lights in her rearview mirror. Her heart dropped. She pulled over carefully, just like she'd been taught. Her hands stayed on the steering wheel, motionless. Eli looked up at her, confused. "Mom, what's wrong?" he asked softly. "Nothing, baby," she whispered. "Just stay calm." The officers approached fast, too fast. One of them had his hand already hovering near his holster. The other shouted commands before she could even roll her window down. "Step out of the vehicle. Now!" Nala's chest tightened. "Officer, now!" he barked again, cutting her off. The sound made Eli flinch in the back seat. Nala slowly opened the door, raising her shaking hands in the air. They surrounded her car, demanding to know who the boy was, where she'd taken him, why he was crying. But Eli wasn't crying. He was scared. Scared of the men yelling at his mother like she'd done something terrible. "That's my son," she tried to say, her voice trembling. But they didn't believe her. One officer grabbed her wrist, while another opened the back door, pulling Eli out. "Ma'am, we got a report. You fit the description. A black female, mid-30s, with a child who doesn't look related." Nala's breath caught. "Doesn't look? He's my son!" Eli's small voice broke through the chaos. "Mommy!" he cried, reaching for her as the officer blocked him. Nala's heart shattered as she watched them separate her from the very child she'd spent her life protecting. People had started gathering. Cell phones came out. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, she's kidnapping him." Another said, "That poor boy." And just like that, the lie became the truth in their eyes. Nala tried to explain about the school pickup, about the woman she'd seen on the phone, but the officers didn't care. They were too busy verifying her story. Her driver's license, her registration, Eli's birth certificate in her glove compartment. None of it mattered. The only thing they saw was color. Minutes felt like hours. The air was heavy with humiliation. Eli was sobbing now, calling for her, and one of the officers told him to stay back. She wanted to scream, to fight, but she remembered what happened to people who did. So she stood there, hands trembling, tears burning her eyes, while the crowd watched like it was a show. Finally, a familiar face appeared. Officer Ramirez, someone she'd seen at the clinic before. He hesitated, looking from her to Eli, then back at the officers. Something didn't sit right with him. He asked for her name, then quietly radioed dispatch for verification. Within minutes, confirmation came through. Nala Carter, local nurse. Registered parent, no record, no crime. But by then, the damage was already done. The neighbors had seen. The children had seen. And Eli would never forget the sight of his mother standing handcuffed beside her own car, surrounded by people who saw her as a criminal first and a mother second. The truth might clear her name, but the whispers? Those would last forever. The police station was cold, not because of the air, but because of the silence. Nala sat there, wrists red from the handcuffs they'd finally removed, her son clinging to her leg, trembling. Hours had passed, yet no one had said sorry. No one had even said her name right. When Officer Ramirez finally returned, he wasn't alone. Behind him was the same woman from the school, the one who made the call. She looked nervous now, twisting her purse strap, eyes darting between Nala and the floor. "That's her," Nala whispered. Her voice was cracked, exhausted. "That's the woman who said I kidnapped my son." The room froze. The woman stammered, I thought. He didn't look like her. His skin. Her words hit like knives. Didn't look like her. Too light, too different, too black to be believed. Nala stood slowly, her body trembling but her voice steady. "You thought because he's light-skinned and I'm dark, I couldn't be his mother? You called the police on me for being a mother?" The officers avoided her eyes. The woman's lip quivered, but she didn't answer. Ramirez stepped closer, speaking low. "Ms. Carter, you're free to go." Free. But what did freedom mean when your dignity had already been stripped in public? As she walked out, cameras flashed outside the precinct. The story had already spread. Local nurse, detained in mistaken kidnapping. People whispered, some apologetic, others still suspicious. Nala held Eli's hand tightly, her eyes burning not from tears, but from something deeper. Rage mixed with heartbreak. Eli looked up at her, his small voice breaking through the noise. "Mommy, why did they think you were bad?" She didn't know how to answer. How could she explain centuries of fear, bias, and ignorance to an 8-year-old boy? She just held him tighter, whispering, "You did nothing wrong, baby." We did nothing wrong. But deep down, Nala knew. The real damage couldn't be undone by words. The wound wasn't just on her wrist anymore. It was in her spirit. And the town that broke it was about to be forced to face what it had done. In the days that followed, Nala's story didn't disappear. It ignited something Maplewood had never seen before. People who once whispered now had to face themselves in the mirror. The viral clip of a mother pleading for her truth became the spark that forced a quiet town to finally confront its prejudice. But Nala refused to be just another headline. She decided that silence wouldn't protect her, or anyone else. So, with Officer Ramirez's help, she organized a town hall meeting at the local community center. The same faces that once looked at her with suspicion now sat in those seats, uncomfortable, but listening. Standing at the front of the room, Nala's voice didn't shake. She spoke about fear, not the kind that comes from danger, but the kind that lives inside people when they refuse to understand one another. She talked about how quick assumptions can destroy lives, how bias can hide behind words like concern and safety. And as she spoke, even the woman who had made the call lowered her eyes in shame. It wasn't easy. Change never is. But that night, something shifted. The police department announced mandatory racial sensitivity training. Schools began holding discussions on diversity and empathy. And for the first time, Maplewood started to heal. Not by forgetting what happened, but by facing it. Months later, a mural appeared on the school wall, painted by students under Eli's teacher's guidance. It showed a mother holding her son's hand, surrounded by words like truth, courage, and belief. At the bottom, in bold letters, it read, "She didn't need saving. She needed to be believed." Nala stood before it one morning, the sunrise washing over her face. She wasn't angry anymore. She was resolute. Her story wasn't just about pain. It was about transformation, about reclaiming her dignity, and about a town learning that change begins with acknowledgement. Because in America, sometimes justice doesn't come from courts. It starts in conversations. And as viewers, we have to ask ourselves, how many more mothers will be doubted before the world finally starts listening? Don't miss more powerful real-life stories. Hit subscribe now.